Biden announced last night, did you miss it, in a startling declaration that he was standing down from the presidential race, saying it's in the interest of his party and the country. Well, it took him long enough, didn't it? And it follows weeks of intense pressure from fellow Democrats after a stumbling debate performance against Donald Trump at the end of June. Take a listen to this.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look.
OK, joining us now is GB News reporter Ray Addison. Good morning, Ray. I know you have a keen eye on everything US politics. Why did this take so long? And actually, do the Democrats have something to answer for when it comes to the last couple of years? Because they were saying all the concerns and the conjecture around Biden's health was just conspiracy and slurs.
Well, yeah, it certainly seemed to take a long time for President Biden to stand down from this nomination, the Democratic nomination. I think people had been pretty certain that after that debate performance, which many people described as disastrous, it was a shoo-in that he would have to eventually go. However, he had a lot of support from his family, not least his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, and his son, Hunter Biden. They went away to Camp David, didn't they? And it seemed that they decided they would try to carry on. However, that wave of maneuvers by Democrats, not least former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, against him meant that the die was cast. And now the Vice President Kamala Harris is on her own maneuvers. We heard that as soon as that statement was issued by Biden on X, that she immediately, her team began calling the hundreds and hundreds of delegates who she will need to get the support from at the Democratic Convention in August, at the end of August, to get their support and get their backing. And one of the surprising names that we're hearing is the Governor Newsom, who has now come out in support of her, calling her tough and fearless. And so it appears that she is certainly moving in the right direction. In terms of her opportunities to address the public, this is a new dawn for her and potentially for America. She's speaking today at 3:30 UK time on the South Lawn of the White House. It was supposed to be a sports event, but this will be her opportunity to pitch herself to America.
Thank you very much, Ray. And joining us now is the former Nevada Republican Party Chairwoman, Amy Tarkanian. Thank you so much, Amy, for joining us. This is clearly big news that Biden's pulled out of the race, but there are also questions about his fitness to continue now as president. What do the Republicans have to say about that?
Yes, 100%. And already a Republican Congresswoman, Nancy Mace, has announced that she was going to ask for the invocation of the 25th Amendment to have him removed from continuing to serve in the White House, because now the question is, if he's not well enough to continue to run for re-election, then what makes you think that he's well enough to continue to serve the entire nation? It's a legitimate question. And I think it's one that he's definitely going to have to come to terms with, just like he was having to come to terms with not running for re-election. I think, it's one thing to say that, he stepped aside selflessly, he's gracefully bowing out. No, he was pushed out, and he had to have a really hard conversation and see that the poll numbers were not in his favor. And I think that conversation is probably going to have to extend to his remaining in the White House.
So this is unprecedented, isn't it, in terms of US history? And if something big were to happen now, if there were to be a massive world event that would need America's leadership, what would technically happen now that people know that Biden is not really running the country?
Well, I think it would just continue to be the same. So he's obviously surrounded by people who felt that they could control him. They felt that it was okay to keep propping him up and using him just as a spokesperson or a talking head. And when that simple task wasn't able to be accomplished, they're now having to find somebody else and do a plan B. But there's people already now. This has just solidified some of the thoughts that people had already had, that he was not the one making the directions. He was not the one pulling the strings, that he's actually being told by others around him what needs to be done. And that's just what would continue to happen.
Amy, lots of people saying overnight that this whole sorry episode has just proven how deceitful the Democrats have been, because as far back as 2 years ago, people could see the decline of Joe Biden starting, and it's only now they've capitulated and said, well, yeah, OK, yeah, he's not fit to be president. But we saw this 2 years ago, and they've covered for him and covered for him and covered for him.
Sure. And it's unfortunate, and it's been really hard and actually quite sad, no matter what party you're affiliated with, to watch somebody unravel before the world. And it's been painfully obvious that there has been massive mental and health struggles. You know, if it were my father, if it were my husband, if it were my brother, I would never want to have him unravel before the world's eyes. But yet his family felt comfortable enough to continue to push him. And it's a shame. And so, you know, he's actually not the first president that has had massive health problems while being in the White House. It's just we have social media. Yeah. We have cameras on him, you know, 100%. So you can't hide it as well as we had been able to in the past.
Yeah, got it. Amy Tarkanian, former Nevada Republican Party Chairwoman, thank you for joining us.